Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast, where we break down everything short-term rentals, entrepreneurship, and building a profitable hospitality business. Whether you're a host, investor, or property manager, we share real strategies, real insights, and real experiences to help you scale smarter and grow faster. Let's dive in.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Co-Host Bros Podcast. My name is Matt Codd. I'm here with Austin Spitzenberger, and we are with Bigger Pocket short-term rental expert Garrett Brown in the house. What's going on? Welcome.
Super happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming on, dude. Super excited for this one. Super happy to have you, man. And for our listeners that don't know, give them a quick rundown of kind of how you got into the space and maybe what it is you kind of do today.
Yep. So I've been in, I currently operate a company called Cameron Ranch Glamping, which we're primarily glamping based short-term rentals, but we also co-host a lot of properties as well. We have 25 plus properties currently. I've been in short-term rentals for about 7 or 8 years. I started in 2019. I've been a realtor forever. Got a few condos under my belt in downtown Houston. This is back when you could slap an air mattress pretty much in any place that had electricity and make some money on Airbnb. Started doing okay. COVID hit. All the big money came into all the places, near me in Houston. So I had to keep dropping my price, and it was a race to the bottom. I pivoted, sold all those places, started building my first unique stay, which was a geodesic dome glamping structure about an hour outside of Houston. And then it kind of just took off and evolved from there to where it is now. And I started working at Bigger Pockets about 1.5 years ago. I've been a content creator and, YouTuber and everything, documenting my real estate journey for 10 years. And kind of cool to see where I ended up over there with the great people at Bigger Pockets and kind of leading the short-term rental vertical over there and helping the education side to really bring hosts. My favorite phrase is make your short-term rental a long-term success. That's what I'm trying to do for everybody.
I love it. Matt, did you know he was based out of Houston also?
No, I didn't. No.
I didn't know
you
that
live
either.
in Houston too?
I'm in Conroe, so I'm on the north side.
Okay,
of
I'm in
Houston.
Katy, so we'll have to meet up.
Yeah, Suburb Bros is the new podcast.
Yeah. Austin, you're out. You're out, Austin. He's got Bigger Pockets on his side, so I'm good. I'm cool. No.
Yeah. So Matt has like he runs the only like short-term rental meetup there. I don't know. I haven't seen any other one. Matt's like the only guy that hosted that meetup. How's that going, Matt? Are you still doing that?
We've taken a couple months off. We did an Airbnb we did a meetup with Airbnb. Airbnb did a meetup about the new permitting process in Houston like a month and a half ago. So I didn't have one that month. And it's just been busy this month, so I haven't got there this month either. I'm probably gonna start up again. I have a meeting today with the Airbnb growth manager tonight after this. So I'm trying to get them to let me be an ambassador for Houston, but it'll take some time. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. Yeah, we do it in 2 places though. So we'll do it in Richmond and then we do it in Houston.
Nice.
So we alternate.
Sounds like my type of party.
It's a good party. I mean, make sure there's beer there. That's you gotta make sure there's beer there. We're good to go.
Sold. I'm driving there now. Let's do
beer
it.
and food.
He's on his way. Oh man,
It's awesome.
yeah. So just looking at y'all's website and stuff, like what is there's pretty cool. Look like they're pretty cool little units. What's with the mirrors? Is it like you can't see in, but you can see out like it's a window all the way around? Is that kind of like the glamping units? Tell me a little bit about that because they look pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, those units are built by a company called humorHow. They're originally from Estonia, which is Eastern Europe for any of my non-geography buffs like myself. But they actually opened their first factory in Houston about 4 years ago. That probably the one maybe you're seeing. We have 3 mirror houses now from them. And they perform great. They're during the day they're reflective. At night you can't see into them, but they all have curtains and things like that too. But with the property I was actually the first partner in America with their mirror house, and now that mirror house is the most profitable one in the entire world as well too.
I'm sure it is. I seen another mirror house in North Carolina.
Yep.
So like in the off season, you guys like the police department hire you for interrogations and things like that. Someone
They
stands
can
on the outside.
they can. We actually I got a call from my cleaner yesterday, and she sends into our business line, our group text, and it's like, hey, why is the sheriff out here? And I'm like, awesome, I can't wait to figure out what's going on. And so I call her, and apparently the sheriff showed up to try to book a stay because he had saw it on TikTok and all these things, and he wanted to come check out the property and all that, which I was like, you could have just called, but whatever,
Yeah,
man.
right?
So I guess we are the preferred interrogation room now for all San Jacinto County.
I love it. Every time I see a cop, I'm just like, hey, can you remove my tickets? We're being friendly. Help me out.
I was like, I want to be on y'all side. Y'all can come stay whenever. So just remember this when I need you.
yeah, right. Yeah. Sign this for me real fast. So when you first started, and you started in short-term rentals and you started co-hosting or property management, I'm assuming you do. I'm not sure if you do property management or co-hosting, like if you collect the funds, but how did you end up transitioning to bigger pockets? Out of curiosity.
So I do property management because I have a real estate. I have a real estate license, so technically I can collect. But it is also to me they're all kind of a little bit synonymous. How I got to bigger pockets is, and I tell people this all the time, even like in my journey of how I got to short term rentals and everything. Like I try everything. Like I like people like are so afraid to try sometimes and like fail and like look stupid and like not know what they're doing. But like 8-9 years ago, whenever I got my real estate license, I was doing residential. I hated it. I hate being a realtor. It's definitely, it's too salesy, not for me, but this goes back to my trying thing. I got an email one day randomly from somebody. They were like, hey, do you work with investors? I didn't know anything about it at the time, but I was like, sure, of course I do. Why would I not? I'm a real estate agent, right? Lied through my teeth. But I instantly went on Google and typed in, and I was like, hey, real estate investing, and Bigger Pockets popped up. I had no idea what it was, started diving into it, and I was blown away by just everything you could learn for free about how to be a real estate investor. So then I met with the guy, we had a little, coffee and did something. I never did a deal with this person, but that day changed my life because then I started diving down deep, Bigger Pockets. Cause then I started like exploring the investor route. And then I'm like, wow, all these people are making so much money, way more than I am as a realtor and not working as much. Like, I got to really get into this. So then I started trying to fix and flip houses. I had one really successful one. Then I had one that I lost a lot of money on. And I was like, okay, this probably ain't for me. Then I had a couple buy and holds, and I was like, this is okay. But, like one tenant damaged the property so bad after a year, like it cost so much to redo it. And I was like, well, there pretty much goes any money I made from these properties. So I kept going, but the whole time though, I was documenting my journey as a realtor, as the fix and flip. I was just making content. It was on YouTube. I was on, short form vertical video. Didn't really know what I was doing. Wasn't getting a ton of views. Like just was trying. I was terrible at it, but I kept at it for 8 or 9 years, the whole time, just always making content, getting better. Every day I tried to get 1% better with each video. Fast forward, I say all that to, I was on the Bigger Pockets main podcast. I was on the Rookie podcast talking about my journey. They ended up reaching out to me, and I did a little bit of short form content for them, like because they had just tried to open up doing some more YouTube shorts and stuff. I submitted a couple of them. They did pretty well. They ended up getting an opening for short. They needed somebody to lead their short term rental vertical. It became 20% of their audience, and they didn't have one person that was dedicated to talking about short-term rentals and how that can be profitable for people in the real estate investment side going forward. And it just is one of those situations where closed mouths don't get fed. So I was telling people what I do, telling people, my journey and all that. And one person at Bigger Pockets suggested me to like, hey, y'all should interview Garrett to see if he's going to be the right person for this. And then a year and a half later, I'm still working there. So obviously I'm doing something right. So it's kind of working in my favor. And yeah, I haven't been a real big content creator. Like I do a lot of the content creation over there, but I trained I was training myself for 8 or 9 years, making really bad content with no real, I didn't have a real audience, maybe 5,000 YouTube subscribers. But I like to tell that story to people because it's like, you never know where that, like what you're doing, like what opportunity it's going to lead to, you know, like you can't really, you know, you can't see the trees through the forest or whatever the phrase is like that. And it's like, it's really real. It's like, sometimes you just need to find a passion and stick with it and keep going, and then keep figuring out where you can adapt to make that even happen, you know, and it just comes from trial and error.
Dude, content is so hard too, because you're just like, you have no direction, and you're like, it's in your head, you're like, fuck yeah, I'm going to cut from here to there. Yeah. I'm going to do this and that. And then you get down to it and you're like, I didn't record half the shit I said I was going to record for this clip. And you're like, oh, I just totally screwed it up. You know what I mean? It's like, that's tough. It is really tough. I mean, that's wild. And it's funny what you said about real estate investing. It's like, I think it's easy to get shiny object syndrome, because there's so many ways to make money with a piece of a property, any kind of property, right? There's so many ways to make money, but it's like, sometimes people are just like, oh, I'm just going to go make money, but they're not going to do due diligence. And that's really huge when it comes to short-term rentals, is a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just going to buy here. It's going to do great. Wow, man. Like, I saw a Facebook post the other day. It's a lady was like, oh yeah, $435,000 to spend. Should I buy a house in Crystal Beach, Texas, or PCB? And I'm like, neither. Don't do either. You don't have enough money to even gain entry, first of all. Second of all, you should even be in Crystal Beach, probably, more likely, unless you find a good fix and flip on the beach at a good price. Good luck. And a lot of money. Yeah. So it's crazy. So you don't do real estate anymore?
So I have my license still. You're talking about, I have my license still. Like, I only really do it for family and friends, and really just my own personal investments. Like, the one cool thing about having my real estate license, which is not cheap, people underestimate, it's like $3,000 or $4,000 a year to keep it active, at least. But if I buy a property for myself, which I'm looking at RV parks, campgrounds, all that now, like, I'll be able to retain $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 just from having my license. And I also get access to a ton of data and information about owners to reach out for co-hosting and things like that too, with my realtor license. I wouldn't advise it though to people just to get that kind of information, because you could use something like PropStream or, you know, any of these other softwares to get that data from someone. But yeah, I do a little bit here and there, but not too much anymore. I kind of hate it.
Yeah, I don't get it just to be a spy, so you can just figure it out. Mm-mm. So when you started, I mean, it might have been different because you were a realtor, you know, more active realtor at that point. But when you got your first like property management deal, like how did you find that? What did you do? Did someone just come to you, or you cold called, or?
So there's two ways that I kind of got my first bigger co-hosting property management deal. I had to have so I'll walk down the first deal, which really wasn't co-hosting, but this is why I like to tell people, you need to tell people what you're trying to do to find anyone. Like, people aren't just going to know that you're looking to co-host and things. So I was a realtor at the time, and I had a gentleman in a condo area. This is 2019, like I mentioned, where he was doing long-term rentals on his condos. He had 3 average condos in an area, and he was getting ready to relist them, right, and put them back up. But he was kind of like, you know, I'm not too sure. Maybe I'll just sell them or something. And then I was like, oh, okay. Like, you know, I've been thinking about buying, you know, like my own place and like maybe make it into an Airbnb. And he was like, oh, I heard about that. You know, maybe we'll explore it. We listed one unit for a little bit, but then he decided to, after about a month, he didn't get any traction. He came to me and he goes, hey, actually, like, I want to sell you the 3 units. Like, I don't want to deal with anybody else. I like you a lot. I want to do a deal with you, set it up. I was able to get those 3 units. They weren't very pricey at the time, and make it happen. But all that came from me just telling people what I wanted to do. How I actually got my first co-hosting client or owner is I went on Airbnb and started searching through my area. Like, I already had a couple units out in this area. So if you don't have any experience, you know, that's a whole nother route. We can lean on different ways to make that happen for you. But I had a couple units that I owned in the area. So I started looking. I already had a team built out. I started looking in there, seeing, you know, what properties stuck out to me. I realized that I only wanted unique places or lakefront places in the particular area I was in. So I found that. I found one unit in particular that, like, he had one review all year. It was a beautiful place, but he didn't have professional photos. He had like a 4-night minimum in an area that needs like a 2-night minimum, really. Wasn't pet friendly, like a few things. So I was one of my favorite things to do is be on Airbnb and go into like sleuth mode where you're like, all right, this house, like from an aerial view, it kind of looks like this. The houses next to it look like this. Airbnb showing it's in a semi-accurate, location. And then you also can go into like AirDNA or Price Labs, and you can even get the latitude and longitude of some of these areas. Then I went on to Google Street View and PropStream, or I was using my realtor data, but if you don't have realtor data, you can use PropStream and Google Street View. And then I was just crawling around on Google Street View to find that owner. Finally found the house. I put it into whitepages.com, got the owner's email address, text, phone number, all that for like $5 a month for like 100, as many contacts as you want. I can't remember the exact number. And then just I started out sending a few mailers to people, which I hate, but I also hand wrote them and things. Didn't really get a response. But this is one thing I've learned being a realtor is that I think 80% of deals get done in like the 7th plus follow-up or some crazy statistic like that. So I sent another mailer, didn't hear back. Then I was like, all right, let me just text the guy. Like, this is 2025 or 24, whatever it was. Like, let me text the guy and figure this out. Text him, got an immediate response. He's like, hey, cool, I'd be open to chat. Got on the phone with him. And the first question I always ask anytime I'm talking to an owner or that I don't know fully thing is I just ask, like, what's your biggest pain point? Like, what are you struggling with, like, with the short-term rental? Like, why are you having a 4-night minimum? Why? And he goes, we've only had one booking all year. And then I dive into like, why is that? We have to have a 4-night minimum stay because I don't think I'm going to make enough money. And then, then I get into, well, what if you priced your 2 nights a lot higher and then you use some price rule, and like go into all that spiel. But the main thing with getting clients is just figuring out where they're struggling. A lot of owners they just maybe want somebody with boots on the ground or, they don't, you solving the problem for them is how you're going to get very happy owners ready to sign up with you because they realize the value you bring and that you care about making their life easier and the value you bring to them.
Yeah, I think you said it well when you said the point is to kind of solve their problem because they may not really care about the facts that you use, price labs or you use, revenue management. And they may not care about this, but they may care about whatever they show up to the house. The cleaner is really bad. So if you talk about revenue management, how good you are making the money, and they're like, well, not really. That's not the house is paid for, so I'm not concerned about the income, right? So you got to find out what that pain point is, and you got to hammer that home. So. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with that. I think we had the Vintory guy on Brooke pretty recently, and he's like a big marketing guru. And something that Matt and I have been doing, and it's definitely works, is like what we've done is he gave us this tip, and it's very very simple, but the response rate is so good when you do something like that, and you send him a message, and like you said, it takes 7 times to finally and it really does because people aren't really like it's not that much of a priority until they start talking to you. But like what Matt and I took away from that and that podcast and we implemented is when the conversation goes stale, you just send thoughts question mark like very simply.
It's the stupidest thing, dude, and it works. It's wild. Like I texted Austin and I was like, hey, I sent thoughts to like 10 people, dude. Like 2 people responded. And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, no, Brooke said that in the podcast. He's like, he did? I was like, yeah. I was like, I sent him a screenshot. And he's like, I'm going to try that shit on an email. He had emailed somebody recently and he put thoughts and he sent me a screenshot. And he's like, dude, what the hell? Like, I'm like, oh, okay. So it works. It's wild, dude.
Open-ended questions and like the open-ended questions are always the biggest like unlock for sales because it's basically sales when we get into this kind of thing, which is like I've even like on the realtor side, I used to just always ask simple questions and then the dead silence. They feel pressured to like they're like, oh, we have to respond now. So they like I don't know, the ball's in their court and they know it, and so they're like, oh, let me address it. I love that. I haven't heard that one before. I'm definitely stealing that, so I love it.
Dude, do it. Let us know your success rate, dude. One word.
I will. Yeah, I will.
Crazy.
I went through our CRM and everything that had like a message from me sending last and no one ever replied. I just started thought bombing everybody. I was like, thoughts. I got like 5 responses. I'm like, oh shit, I'm busy again. It's like, let me go follow up with these people. But
nice. I love it.
That's yeah, and I've definitely been in your shoes where like I really wanted a property. I'm like, if I could get a hold of this person, I could help them.
Yep.
But they didn't have like a property management website that showed the address, or you couldn't like skip trace it or reverse image or do like all this crazy stuff. And you just have
Yep.
this Airbnb blurb and you're like on Google Maps and you know you can help this person. So you've invested an hour of your time like traveling down Google Maps, like you're driving down the
Yeah.
street. Like I think it's that one, but I've just been there before. So I think that's funny.
So the biggest hurdle for me, I'm sure y'all have ran into it, maybe have a way around it. What do y'all do when you run into LLCs over and over and over? Like, do you just deep dive and just keep going until you figure out who owns it? Oh,
I
man.
do, because I like that
Oh,
shit,
it's
dude.
painful.
I'll pull it up the Secretary of State and stuff like that. Like, I realized one time I was like cold texting an owner of another property management company who happened to own a whole bunch of properties as well. Like when I pulled on PropStream, like 1,000 LLCs, and I got to the point to where like my wife's like, "Oh yeah, I'm texting this." I'm like, "Yeah, don't bother." And she's like, "What?" I'm like, Don't bother texting that one. Like I have to explain it. Like, no, that's owned by this person. They own this big management company. They don't give a shit." Yeah. I even sent them one of their bad reviews. Like, "Hey, did you see this review?" And then I was like, then I realized later on, like, oh shit, the owner of the house is the guy who owns the business. But yeah, usually I'll look at the Secretary of State and see if I can figure out, like, look at the members of the LLC. And sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't. It is what it is.
That's been my biggest bottleneck. Yep. So
the best part is trying to find it.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Because also it's one of those things where it's like not many people are gonna go that extra route, so you have a lot less competition. But I've been lazy, and every time I see that, I'm like, of course it's an LLC. Here we go. You know.
Yeah, so. You're like, damn it.
Yeah, I'm like, why can't you just be regular? Why can't you just be regular? Yeah. Come on, guys.
I guess. So like I guess Brooke with Ventori, they came up with this little blue box. I think it's called Blue Box, and it's like a thing you put on your Chrome browser, and it works better with Verbo. And you go to Verbo and you just hit the button, it'll skip trace the whole thing for you. They could do like 70% of listings based on the information that they share. Yeah, it's cool, but it probably adds up, I'm sure.
Probably,
especially if you're just starting, trying to get your first listing and things like that. Are you still like actively in your property management business?
Luckily I've been able to step out a little bit. I've hired, we have like 7 or 8 full-time people now between marketing, and I have an operations manager full-time. I have 3 virtual assistants, a couple like hourly cleaners that work under. So I've gradually been able to step out of it to get to do really big high level thinking things now. Like I've been geeking, like I've always been a big marketing person. But now I've been able to like finally unlock some of my brain capacity to really dive into the branding and marketing. But it took, a few years to build the team up and figure out the systems and all that. And it's also like, I could still handle some of it, but because I work full time, I've probably overhired a little bit to help run it. So that way I can focus on the big things for the company and then, my day-to-day job and things.
I love marketing. We're going to be the best of friends.
It's so fun. That's my guilty pleasure and anything. So
yeah, I'm like, how can I get you to like me? What email do I send? It's like, here's a funnel of 70 emails like I just built today because I was bored and I had nothing better to do.
Don't say funnel. That's my favorite word in the world. So we can't go down that today.
Austin's over here like. Austin, it's your turn to ask a question. I apologize. I got excited when he said marketing. My tail started wagging.
No, it's cool. I wanted to go back for a second on his the personal brand and the content that you built and all that stuff. Well, my question was like, have you noticed that what was your biggest post? Was there like one post that you made that was like went super viral, whether it be TikTok, millions of things? And did you expect that post to go viral? So like for me, for example, I'm not that big on social media and like, I'm trying to build the personal brand out, but like one thing I did on TikTok, which I had like 50 followers, and then one of them finally hit, and I have someone on our team just take my podcast, chop it up, and post it for me. So I don't really do anything, and I don't really want to do anything for it. But they did it, and then they just scheduled them. And then one day I logged in, and I had like, I think I was like, from that one post, I got like 700, 800 followers. So going from 50 to 750, I was like, what the hell? And it was just this one random post I would have never expect to get like 500,000 views or something like that. So have you seen that with your content where you're like, well, I did not expect that one to hit, but it did? Or like, what's that like?
So I'll put it into like two phases. 'Cause I've had several like hit virality, like a few that have hit 20 million views and things. So when I first, and it kind of goes into the content journey where you kind of just learn and do things as you can. So probably 2021, I really started taking content even more serious and like personal brand. And I started filming everything I was doing, building my glamping site and buying properties and doing all that. And I had 2 posts go very, very viral. One was me throwing tennis balls into a hot tub saying, does anybody ever use this trick? And another was me building what's called a cowboy pool, right, for one of my properties, which I built it personally, all that. They went super viral. I think the cowboy pool one had like 50 million views over a couple platforms, right? But that wasn't what I wanted to go viral for, you know? Like I was like, dang, like I got a ton of people coming in. It definitely like gave me a little bit of like, it's definitely got some people that were starting to follow my journey. But there was a few things I learned from that is one, like you can't guess what's going to go viral. There's like steps to it and like things like I noticed things from the cowboy pool post of like how my text on screen was, how like I let my personality shine. Like I didn't try to hide it. I was making little jokes and things. But it was kind of a gift and a curse because it was like then I went viral for something like I don't build cowboy pools, I don't sell cowboy pools, I don't sell hot tubs, like whatever. But I learned from that I was like, oh, people don't care, especially on TikTok more than Instagram, but people on the personal brand side, they really want to they don't care about what you're teaching as much, like a little bit of it, but they care more about your story and like what you're doing in the day-to-day. And if you're just documenting what you're doing, the right people are going to start to come to you. So then I started messing, I was all super happy, but I was also frustrated because I was getting all these people asking me about this damn cowboy pool. And I'm like, I don't want anything to do with this, right? But then I started I was like, okay, people like and the thing that I noticed too is it wasn't like some professionally produced thing. It was just like me putting together my day-to-day. So then I started doing that more. And I started slowly seeing, like taking data from like, okay, this topic is doing pretty well. People like day in the life stuff. But the real pivot point for me that I noticed was, and when I started going viral for the videos I wanted to like be known for, like my tiny home, my glamping ones, like I started realizing that I kept posting a lot and testing out different like text on screen hooks. And I started realizing that one particular hook was working for me more than every other single one. And it was, this tiny house or this house cost me XYZ. It's going to make this much per year. And once I got a little bit of traction on it, I quadrupled down on that. Like every post was pretty much like, this tiny house, I'm building this tiny house. It's about to make me, it cost me XYZ. It's going to cost me, it's going to make me 100,000 in a year. And every single post after that for a few months was pretty much that same premise. And each single one after that kept hitting. It was like 200,000, 500,000, 300,000. One may get 20 or 30,000, but then I put up another one and it still hits. So the thing with the personal brand, the two things that like, and those are kind of long-winded answers that the only thing that I learned from that, because these are just kind of crapshoots sometimes. Like some videos I'll make and I'll be like, oh, this is a banger, million views for sure, and then it gets 1,000. And then sometimes I'll make a quick video and it will get 500,000 views, and it's like, what was the point behind that? But it's always, you need to talk, you need to tell your story in whatever you're doing, and you need to also build like a curiosity loop or curiosity gap or whatever you want to call it within the first 3 seconds of the video. So I got, and I still now trial and error things, but if you can present an idea to someone of I had a video go viral not long ago where I was like, I spent $10,000 on rocks. They're going to make me $100,000, but let me tell you how. That instantly their brain just goes. And it's always, and the other thing too is like, I don't do any talking head videos really anymore. Like there's some that still are successful and all that, but those days are a little bit numbered because everybody does that now. But I think anything that you can have like at least some scenery around you, like even outside, like even just go outside, make a video, like do it from there. You'll probably have a better chance of doing it. But if you can spark that curiosity gap to where they're like, what is he talking about? I have to keep watching to figure out. because watch time is the biggest piece for virality I have seen on social media, more than shares, comments, likes, anything. If people watch all the way through for your video, the chances of that thing taking off are through the roof at that point.
I think I need you to test something. Can you post like 10 videos and put thoughts as the tagline?
There you go.
It might work. It may work.
Any way you can drive engagement from people. That's the other thing I learned with the cowboy pool thing that I forgot is if you can draw an emotion out of somebody to where they're either upset or they love it, that's another way to go viral. Like I even made a post about the Airbnb service change like a week or two ago, and it got like 500,000 views. But it was because everybody had an opinion on it. That's the other thing. It's a little different, but if you can come up with a topic that you know everybody is going to get mad about or love, that's another like gold rush into like virality.
I think that's why like the political influencers go so viral.
Oh, of course. That's a cheat code.
The person I think of is like, I know Matt knows him. I don't know if you know the guy online named Brad Lee. You know who Brad Lee is? Oh, you look at him after this, but I feel like he does a good job of that. He says he just puts his opinion out there, and he's very controversial regardless of what the subject is. But you either are like, yeah, I mean, he's saying what everyone's thinking, or you're like, this misogynistic douchebag, like but it's like perfect, and he just keeps going with it, and he's really funny about it too. But anyways, yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
No, it's true, because he'd be like, oh yeah, if you don't make like $400,000 as a man, you're a bitch or something, and people would be like,
yeah,
oh my god, I don't need my man to support me, and then but he's got 5 million followers, dude. So it's like, say whatever you're gonna say, bro, because you're making way more money on social media than all those people talking shit are. So it's like.
And then stand on it, too. Like if that's your stance, then do it. But that's a little extreme. But another example is I brought up one thing about pet fees and like service pets one time, and I was talking about like how and you figure out ways that will draw engagement to the masses, but then the first few seconds is like trying to draw everybody, and then you gradually niche down the video. And with my pet video, it was like, can you bring in a service animal to an Airbnb? And then I taught for host of like, what you need to do. But that went so viral because it hit the masses. Everybody has an opinion on pets and Airbnb, but then they also were able to get in the comments and go, oh, like I agree with that, or I don't agree with that. So figure out your niche and then start with the masses and then niche it down. Don't just go immediately to like, how do you do price management for your Airbnb in Myrtle Beach? Like people are like, you're talking to 5 people, like you need to talk to everybody. So
I feel like I should have stayed in a hotel longer. I was like in a hotel for something in August, and I kept making videos like, how come Airbnbs are better? Like there's tip marks on the window that they didn't clean. There's dust here. I just made different videos, and I wasn't getting a ton of followers, but I was getting engaged. Like people were talking shit like, oh, hotels are way better. I don't have to pay a cleaning fee. And I'm like, do you have a dishwasher? Like, my wife's like, why are you commenting back to them? Don't comment to the negative comments. I said it because it boosts the algorithm. I'm going to talk all the shit. If nigga talk shit, I'm going to talk shit. So I was telling her, I was like, man, I should just go around to hotels and make videos just for the hell of it. But
never know.
It's pricey, I'm sure. You never know.
Fair enough. Yeah, you never know what's going to be the thing that hits for you, too, with social media. So you just got to try some stuff and throw spaghetti at the wall a lot of times.
Yeah, there's been times I've like posted, I was like, this is going to be really good. I'm chalking over 1,200 views, but it's like 2 views, and I'm like, damn, man, I tried so hard on that. That didn't work.
The algorithm always wins, and it will tell you what works for you. So you just got to listen to it.
That's crazy. So when you're trying to create your brand, you're trying to, and I know we're normally talking about short-term rentals, but I think that a brand is very important. So when you're creating your brand, you're creating your videos. Is there like and it sounded like you had a certain framework that you're doing in order, like step 1, I'm going to come up with this, step 2. And do you plan these out at this point? At this point, are you sitting down and figuring out what you're going to do to film content for the week, or
sort of like because I do full-time content, it's like literally always on my brain of like how we're doing and always meeting with people. But I think the 2 things I've learned is that if you're going to do content is either do make content where you like don't overthink it, and you just like you're able to talk something engaging. You just go outside and film a video of you, and it's all about the topic and how you're telling the story when you're doing that. That does really well on TikTok. But then for Instagram, they seem to favor more produced and like kind of put together things. But I really have been a fan of, for 2026 going forward, of like really focusing on quality versus quantity. I used to try to crank out so many videos and a video a day, 2 or 3 videos a day. And, you know, you get burnt out and like you run, you know, it kind of weighs on you doing content all the time, because it's one of the few things that you kind of quickly get feedback on if it was bad or good in the algorithm's eyes, not necessarily in your own eyes. And so it's like, it could be like, you know, like by the end of the day, you're like, damn, I spent all day and then I put up a video and got 100 views. And so, you know, I've been just thinking for 2026, like I get my framework. I'm really trying to script them out, set them up for the best for success, and just know that not every video is going to go viral, but I am like setting the standard that I want to hit. And also, like, there's just so many content creators out there now that I'm trying to find that way to stick out. And really, like, I think that comes with the quality. It doesn't necessarily mean like highly produced, but where you're like really analyzing and like spending time researching. And then, you know, one thing about social media that people kind of underestimate is all the videos that go viral probably copied another video most of the time. Not every time, but yeah, you need to like go and see who your competitors are, look in other niches and see like which one of their videos took off. Just copy the video and put it into your niche. Like, don't overthink it. Like, if they had a video that was like, these are my 12 steps for financial success as a stockbroker or something, I don't know, like, and it went viral, copy that almost word for word, especially when you're new to content, but turn it into what you want to be known for. They've already kind of proven that those ingredients could work for virality. It may not work for you, but there were certain things to that video that made it stick out. So imitation is the biggest form of flattery in social media. And I never get offended when people do the same type of framework I do, because I probably took it from somebody else.
Can't copyright your content, I guess, when it comes to that.
Nah, not really.
So you got 3. You got property management, you got content, and you got bigger pockets. Which one is the most rewardful for you?
I think the really cool thing about all 3 is they all go hand in hand. Honestly, that's the one thing I love about working at Bigger Pockets is they want me to build up a really big short-term rental business. You know, like, they're encouraging it because like I'm the authority on it over there. And so like I get a lot. That's the really cool thing I love about Bigger Pockets is almost everybody that works there is a real estate investor. And like, so like we live it. We're not just people that are, you know, pressing buttons and trying to sell you something that we don't even believe in. Like, that's the really cool thing about it. And the content feeds to all of it, you know, like, so it's hard to say because honestly, all 3 of them go hand in hand. And I've been given the opportunity to allow that, to where like the space for me to grow my short-term rental business. Cause it kind of goes hand in hand with, you know, what I'm doing at Bigger Pockets. And I get to teach it. That's one of the cool things, like, or not even cool thing. Like, that's one of the things I like about my style and why Bigger Pockets liked me is I don't sell masterminds. I don't sell these massive courses. I just tell you every single day what I'm doing, my wins, my losses. You can learn from it if you want to, and if not, it's fine. But you don't need to pay me $20,000 to show you what I do every day and all these things, because you just follow me every day. You're gonna find out what I do every day because that's what I'm teaching. You know, and it's there's a lot of people that I can't stand when I see somebody selling a course and then I'm like, cool, how many properties do you have? And they're like, I had one like 5 years ago and then I sold it, you know, like, oh, I got, you know, I just, my mom's got a short-term rental, you know, like, and like, it's like, well, what are you doing teaching this? You know, like, you don't even know how things change. Things change every day. Like every single month, things are changing in this, you know, ecosphere. So that's a really cool thing about like my job, and like also like where I value my content is I'm just a real one. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I hate. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I love, and I'm gonna tell you when I mess up, and not gonna sugarcoat it, and not gonna sugarcoat any of the revenue and the expenses.
Yeah, I love it. I love it too. Yeah, go ahead, Austin.
No, I was just gonna ask, like, for Bigger Pockets, like, I have the same few podcasts that I kind of cycle through, so forgive me. But do you have your own segment, or for people that are listening to our show that want to like check out your stuff for short-term rentals, how can they listen and hear you like through Bigger Pockets platforms? Are you guest on episodes? Do you have your own features, or do you just do content? What's that look like?
So I'm guest on main podcasts, rookie podcasts all the time, but I have my own short-term rental channel. It's called Bigger Stays. Bigger Stays is basically the entire short-term rental ecosphere over there. It's not its own podcast at the moment. I don't know. I can't give out too much information, but right now it's just a YouTube channel. But we also have I have a ton of content. We're working on our best short-term rental markets for 2026 right now. We have a weekly newsletter called Bigger Stays that I put a ton of time into and I think is super valuable for people. And we're constantly updating, all of the content and guides and things we're doing over there too. So anything Bigger Stays, you'll be able to kind of find me in the ecosphere of Bigger Pockets.
Yeah, I think Bigger Pockets has paved the way for so many people. Like your journey, you started there, I started
Yep.
there 5 or 6, 7 years ago. Man, like there's just an abundance amount of like resources. And I think if you're just getting into the journey and you want to take the plunge into real estate, regardless of what it is, I think Bigger Pockets is single-handedly the best place to start because they talk about everything. So if you just listen to the
Yes.
Bigger Pockets podcast in general, I don't listen to it anymore because I
Yep.
do one thing and I know
For sure.
exactly what I'm doing and I'm hyper niche down to that. So I know who I want to listen to and what they're saying. I know exactly what I'm looking for. But in the beginning phases, I didn't know what I want to do. So they have subject matter experts all the time talking about different things. So to me, if you don't know what you're going to do, you don't want to do, you go to Bigger Pockets first and you just listen and listen and listen and listen because it may not be short-term rentals, that it may be multifamily or it may be subject to or whatever. There's a
Yep.
million ways to do it, but you can find out what that is based on where you are in life and what your goals are. So I think it's an amazing platform, man.
That's the cool thing I love about real estate investing and why I've just been just geek out about it for years now is because it's one of the few asset classes or investment classes basically that not only is there so many different like things within it that you can do. You can fix and flip, you can buy and hold, you can do self-storage, you can do syndication. Like I could just keep listing them off. And you can try all these things and find what you like. But it's also one of the few like investment classes that, especially in the short-term rental side, why I love short-term rentals and commercial real estate, that you actually can dictate how much that property is going to be worth. Like a stock, like you're just hoping it goes up, right? Like you're not calling Coca-Cola and giving them advice on how to run their business and, hey, I need the share price to go up, like good luck. But with short-term rentals and commercial real estate, you can increase your revenue. You can increase the value of the property in the commercial side. Like that, there's no other, in my opinion, there's no other asset class and investment class like that there's multiple way fix and flip, all that you actually control a lot of your own destiny. And that's why you should, figure out what works best for you. I know some people that love self-storage. I think it's super boring and something I never want to get into. That's my prerogative, but what works for them, doesn't work for me. And I know a lot of people that are super rich off self-storage. So that's the really cool thing about real estate investing.
But here's the thing, like you're the subject matter for them on short-term rental related stuff, but you don't have to know everything about self-storage. But the Bigger Pockets community has brought those people to you. So you just stay in your lane, you become your expert at what you do, but you have friends that do all these other things. So later on in life, when they say, hey, I need money for a storage deal, you're like, well, I don't know anything about that, but I know you do. So you can, I can be the money guy or something
100%.
like that. I think what people get maybe stuck on is like you said, try things, but once you find out what it is, stay in that lane and go. Because if you try to be an expert on 3 or 4 or 5 things, you're an expert at none of them.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're right in your lane where you're supposed to be, and then you have those people around you that are experts at their specific niche of real estate, and you can piggyback off of them for whatever that time comes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. People are so afraid to fail too. And I get it. Like we all are afraid of, spending a bunch of money and, screwing up something, but like you can't fail until you quit. So it's one of those things where it's like, you're going to have a lot of, they're not losses. They're just turning into lessons. So there's been a few things down the path that if I would have just quit because my flip, I lost 20,000 on the flip. I had a realtor client fall through or whatever. If I would have just quit, I wouldn't have gotten to the point I am. But because I was like, okay, I'm never letting that happen again. I'm learning from it. It all like eventually plays out for you to where eventually those losses start shifting to way more wins, and you see why you decided to stick. Why deciding to stick with it was a great option for you.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like how people pay for education to go to college, right? You're going to
Yeah.
lose money going into this profession. So like
Yeah.
if you do your first flip and you lose $20,000, well, next time have a goal of breaking even and
Yeah.
then to make money, right? But it's just like the cost of education. And to your point, so many people are afraid of failing, but it's like you just go out there and lose money. It's going to be okay. Like, don't put yourself in a financial situation where you're going to get into a lot of
Yes.
trouble.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't be afraid. If you lose money, it is kind of just the cost of education.
Yep.
Ignorance tax.
Yep. We've
You
all
don't know what you don't
paid
know.
it.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because it's you said too. You were going to lose. There are times you're going to lose, and a lot of people don't talk about how they're you are going to lose at things, right? So there's things that are going to happen that's going to be hard on your journey if you don't keep going, you don't quit. So I think that's fantastic, and I think people need to realize that because it's hard, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's hard. Till you find something that you feel like you're good at and you're gaining confidence at and you're gaining traction and you're like, you know what, I'm going to stick with this. I got it. Like you said, you tried how many things before you went into short-term rentals? 3, 4?
Yeah, probably 4 or 5, honestly. Like I tried everything, like anything. I was the same. I was listening to Bigger Pockets. I was like, "Ooh, that sounds cool. Let me try that." And then eventually got into my niche, which I should have known from the beginning because I went to school for hotel management when I in college. So I should have done this a long time ago. But again, I was trying like, oh, cool, shiny objects and fixing flips. Hell yeah, let's do it. I could be Chip and Joanna Gaines. Let's do it, But I ended up figuring out what my niche is, and I should have. I just had to get through a few bumps in the road to figure it out.
Yeah. And the more time I think you spend with the community of people doing different things too, it's like the same thing as having an asset. You have leverage. So if you need to come across, like say you do come across a deal that happens to be, you can make a short-term rental, but you're not versed on seller financing, you could find somebody within your, cohort who's versed on that. So it's leverage too. So what's your ultimate goal with your property management business? Do you have an ultimate goal?
I'd love to. So I'm trying to build Cameron Ranch Glamping into like the Marriott of glamping across the country. So it's like one of my big goals to really we've expanded to 3 sites already. Really hoping to honestly get to a national franchising kind of status with it. But I want to do that from the company side, but then a lot of my co-host contracts, which I have in a different LLC that I run them through, I'd love to exit out probably in 3 or 4 years and sell the contracts out that I keep building up and sell it as a business on its own to, with some operations in place, and then exit out of that side and really focus into the glamping side. But I love the co-hosting side because it's barely any cash up front, and it's all cash flow added on top to my revenue models and things like that too. So it's a really good way to balance buying your own assets, and then also having enough assets or having people that help you with the cash flow side of it too, because we all know it's very hard to come up with down payments and everything every single time you're trying to buy a new property. It's not the easiest in the world. So
yeah. So I'm going to switch gears, but how do you determine what a good glamping site would be, and how do you run the numbers? How did you figure out that? Did you just go, okay, well, this is about an hour from Houston, so it'll probably do well because Texas is pretty much a drive-in market everywhere you go, so it's going to be fantastic? Or what happened? How did you figure that out?
So you're pretty close. There's 2 things. There's 2 things with the glamping side now that I know for a fact is, well, 3, I guess. 1, it has to be a unique stay. There has to be an experience to it. 2, it has to have some kind of view, whether it's a water feature, whatever, something like that. But the biggest rule, it's a rule of mine that I call it the 60-30-10 rule. Anytime you're looking at any glamping site or tiny home site, or you're trying to build a little micro resort, you need to be 60 minutes from a major metro hub, 500,000 plus, a million even better. Obviously, in Texas, we have tons of the biggest feeder cities around. So I was about 60 minutes out from Houston, 30 minutes away from a state, regional, or national attraction, because that means that you're going to have an influx of people that are just coming to that site over and over every year. And the thing, people underestimate state parks a lot, or state attractions, because when you think about national parks, people usually go to those once, maybe twice in their life. State parks, the place I found that I, started my first site in, I used to go there every single summer growing up. Families return to those places over and over because it's only an hour away. They don't have to jump, fly and plan out all these things. So if you're by some kind of regional or state attraction, you're going to have at least some tourism coming out there besides marketing to that major metro hub. And then 10 minutes, the 10 is, 10 minutes from a gas station or Dollar General or something. And I just say that because people will sometimes find a piece of land in the middle of nowhere and it's like 30 minutes down this back deserted desert road, and I'm like, okay, good luck getting a package out there, good luck getting a cleaner to drive out there for a reasonable price, good luck getting a handy person, good luck having the guest find it. Like, people, sometimes a little bit too secluded makes operations really, really hard. I know some people that do okay with that, but those are kind of just loose and fast rules for when I'm looking at a place. If it's not near a major metro hub, near some kind of attraction, and then also just not near civilization, really, you're probably going to run into more pitfalls than you do, things that actually work in your favor.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're lucky because Texas has all that everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Dollar General every 10 minutes.
Yep. I'm not moving from Texas. I only do 2 markets, and they're in Texas. And me personally, I'm not going out from Texas, but if people want to franchise and go to bigger national markets, I'm here to help support them in that journey.
Yeah, and I think when you're in the super remote areas, there's not people that are searching to go to those areas. So then you have to invest into marketing, and you can't let, if you can't let Airbnb and VRBO kind of do the things that they do to set you up for success because you're out in the middle of nowhere, nobody's looking to go there. So that's a tough one. We were looking at.
That's why you have to build the experience. If you're going to be out a little bit out, then you have to nail the amenities and the experience, and then you have to really rely on marketing. So otherwise, because at that point, and we can geek out over that on a whole nother time, but we do 90% direct bookings at our glamping site because we do so well on the marketing side. But it costs a lot. I have a full team that do it. I have a marketing background from hotels and stuff, and it's a big lift. So that's one thing. If you're going to have to rely on direct bookings, you better damn sure have a marketing budget in place for it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's a whole different game you're playing essentially, especially if you're getting, not 90% direct bookings. You have to build out. That's really building out a business versus hey, I'm in this nice beach market and Airbnb and VRBO are going to do the work for me. You have to you got to go out and get after it. Right. But yeah, we've got this, we're talking to these people that have a small glamping site, and it's kind of in between Austin and San Antonio, and I definitely want it. They're these cool little. How do I explain it? They're not air. They're we'll just call them kind of like Airstreams, but they're super cool, and it's right by a river, and they put the landscaping is real nice. It could use an amenity like a pickleball court or a pool or something like that. But it was interesting because it was they were self-managing, but they weren't doing anything with dynamic pricing. And there was definitely meat on the bone for us to come in and even make them more money while also taking the management off of their plate. But then I was wondering, I was hey, I want to come with them to them with a value add of hey, I can conservatively say we're going to bring in a little bit more money and this how much more than what you're doing. But it's such a unique setup that I'm I can't find comps. I can't find somebody that's actually a legit competitor because it's out there in the middle of nowhere. So I'm well, I can't really tell them I'm going to make them more money because I have actually no proof to go to them and say, hey, look, after we implement this, that, and the other, we're going to make this much. Because I'm you know what I mean? It's just a different game. It's interesting though.
Air DNA told me it's tough. I know now because I just have all the data. We have all these sites now, and I just am deep diving into it. I know all the owners, but when I started my first place, AirDNA told me we were going to make $25,000, I think, on it, and it made $95,000 the first year. Made $105,000 last year. So yeah, they're very hard to comp and price, and you're taking a little bit of a risk, but that's when I honestly a really cool. The better the product, the easier the marketing is, and if the easier the marketing is, the easier it is to get it out to the masses. So that's kind of the main thing with it. But you can get a pretty good idea of where you're at just looking at some local campgrounds, RV parks, and then kind of maybe base it just a little bit above that. But without a doubt, if you don't have hot tubs at any of those places, we all know hot tubs and glamping sites, you're gonna double your ADR pretty much and your occupancy with it. It's the biggest no-brainer at a glamping site I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think that's something I need to revisit with them because then I just need to be like I need to have some kind of value add of like, hey, if you were to put cowboy pools or whatever you
Yeah,
said, I mean
100.
I don't know what the whatever the some kind of water feature on each unit, that would probably, do a lot of it
Just
does
try.
well.
I say just try one. If you can't convince the owners to buy for all of them, just do one. One unit. Say, please, just do one unit with a hot tub or cowboy pool or whatever. And then I guarantee you, I would really be willing to bet every dollar in my bank account that that unit is going to be the highest performing unit you have. And
Oh
then you
yeah.
go, hey, look, we do this at every unit. This is where we're at. I had to do that at one of the sites that we just took over as has 10 units on it. They were like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this expense. Da, da, da. I was like, we're just do one unit with a cowboy pool. I promise it's going to work. And it blew up. And then, yeah, so they are basically in 2026, all the units are going to have cowboy pools or hot tubs. So
Interesting. Yeah, just do like a case study. Just do
yeah,
like a
it's
test, one
for
of the
sure.
test properties, and just say,
Owners
hey, this
usually,
one did.
they just need to see numbers. And so if you can speak to them and, in numbers, that's all they want to hear most of the time. And so one case study is a good way to show them like, hey, this, I told y'all, like, this is, and it's, having one unit is usually a low lift to get them to agree to. I've seen.
Hmm.
Yeah, and Texans like water features. Wow.
That
At
is
every
for sure.
community.
Cam can confirm.
And warm water too, because they all go to the beach in the summer for some reason. Doesn't make sense to me, but hey. Hey, so it's been like 55 minutes, and I know you got things to do, and I appreciate you getting on. You were awesome. I'm hoping to connect with you outside of this.
For sure.
Appreciate it. Let everybody know where they can follow you and find you again, and all those things, and then we'll wrap it up.
Cool. Yeah. YouTube, go to Bigger Stays. That is our Bigger Pockets YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Bigger Stays newsletter. And then on Instagram, TikTok, all that, Garrett Brown, RE. You can reach out to me there anytime, or Garrett Brown at biggerpockets.com. Happy to chat with anybody that's listening.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And with that, Austin forgot his line.
All right. Thank y'all for listening. Peace.